Hello Rajesh.
Hello Jay.
Welcome to the session.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you here, both as a past president and also as the leading entrepreneur of our city. So why don't we start by introducing yourself and your company?
Thank you, Jay, for the opportunity. So I'm Rajesh. I am the joint MD of Salzer Electronics Limited. Salzer was established in 1985. We went public in 1989, so we have been listed in the stock exchanges from 89 onwards, and it was established with a collaboration with German company, and that's how we got the name Salzer. Today we have around 5 state-of-the-art manufacturing plants in Coimbatore. We employ about 1500 people, both direct and indirect, and we are listed both in BSE and NSE stock exchanges.
That's great. I mean, it's always inspiring to see a company that has scaled up from the start to where you are today. So what is exciting for you in your work and business today?
I joined this business in 97. So my dad started this and I joined in 97, 98. So it's been almost 2 decades now that I've been in this business. The most exciting thing for me is meeting and engaging with new customers and also brainstorming with our core team for new products and new businesses. I think that's the most exciting part in the business, apart from the day-to-day that you do.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you delve a little bit deeper into your product or service lines, as they call it, do you think that you're morphing from what was maybe an OEM kind of manufacturing to now your own product brands? Is there something you would like to share more about that journey?
We have always been our own product brand.
Great.
When we started we always had a product on our as Salzer branded product.
Great.
And been selling in the market as Salzer products.
Okay.
Over the years, I think because of the capabilities that we developed, the processes that we developed, the OEMs came to us and made us a preferred supplier. OEMs like large OEMs, multinationals like GE and Schneider.
Sure.
So they made us a preferred supplier because of the capabilities that we developed.
Great.
So doing OEM business is just a part of our business, but
right.
Our major business is still Salzer branded standard products.
Great. So if you take the Coimbatore ecosystem and maybe in general India itself, there's a lot of focus more on providing services to an OEM, be it software exports or manufacturing, supplying to tier 1 automobile manufacturers. And you, from the beginning, your company has gone into your own branded products. So what is your takeaway to other entrepreneurs? What is the benefits of having your own brand that you have experienced?
The benefit is definitely the reaching out to the final end customer. I think the profitability is definitely much better than doing a OEM servicing. But on the other hand, there's no stability in the business. Okay. So the OEM business is much more stable, but less profitable. Right. So you need always have a mix of both. Okay. One. Secondly, we call ourselves as a branded product company, but then we are more B2B, more industrial side than the retail or the consumer side. We are trying to get into the consumer side, but we're still not big there. But we are slowly building up our business there. But I think that will be the ultimate aim for us also to be a big consumer brand.
Great. So I think along this journey for the last 2 decades, you've been involved in Salzer. As in any entrepreneur, you'll face a lot of challenges, issues, and maybe even crisis. How do you apply a mental framework? What kind of approach do you take when dealing with challenges or crisis?
For me, there is no crisis in business. I don't see anything as a crisis.
Okay.
Because we are not prepared. I think that's what I would call, because the so-called crisis would anyway happen. It's just that we were not prepared for it.
Right.
Mentally, for me, I think I am always prepared for any uncertainties in business. And it's just in EVO, one of the learning sessions I learned from a speaker, he said that one certain thing in business is uncertainty.
Wow.
So that's the most certain thing in a business in today's world.
Yeah.
So we have to be prepared for any uncertainties and crisis and deal with it.
Great. Shifting gears from your company brand to more about the inner workings of the company, talking about culture and values, especially because you've been in existence as a Salzer group for maybe 25 plus 30 years. So what is special about Salzer's organization culture, values that kind of stand out?
I think in our organization, the people have a lot of freedom on decision making.
Okay.
So we don't question people for one bad decision or one small mistake that they have done because of a decision that they have taken. I think that I would call that as an adaptive culture that we have in-house, and we also create an environment where people feel that everyone is involved in a decision making process or in the benefits that the company derives because of the decision making. So that creates a lot of motivation for at least the top people in the company. I think at the same time, we also ensure that people have in their mind that the organization goals are much more important than their individual benefits.
Right.
So I think with this culture, I think we have been able to attract talents, though we are not a very high paying company as such when you relate with outside of Tamil Nadu. But the other perks and other benefits actually is much more attractive at our organization.
The famous saying goes that culture always eats strategy for breakfast. Looks like that's true in Salzer's case.
Yeah.
To an
Actually,
extent.
it's true.
So, but you said organization first and then everyone else next. As a leader, how do we actually communicate this? It's always difficult to actually, it's okay to say this, but how do you communicate this so that they understand, they really relate to this statement?
I mean, it's not an overnight thing that you will achieve that, but as a leader, not only as a leader, but as a top management, anyone in the top management have to lead it by example.
Right.
Second, I think when it comes to a decision making, it has to be unbiased.
Okay.
So at least it has to be seen to be unbiased.
Sure.
So I think this will actually improve so that people will understand that this is how this works.
Sure. Lead by example, be unbiased.
Yeah.
I think great governance examples for any entrepreneur here. So coming to your business, you have your own brands, you are also listed, and there's a great culture going on, but also there is this growth that you need to achieve. So then there is risk involved in that. How does your company and you as a leader approach the element of risk taking or risk management in your company?
Okay, we have a core team. So as and when we start discussing about new projects or new products or new investments, so it always goes through the core team first, and then if required we actually enlarge the team a little bit, so we go to the next level of employees to seek their opinion and brainstorm. Then we look at the benefits over the investment that we make. So once we are convinced that this project or product can be invested through, then we take it to the board. Since we have been a listed company, we have a proper board with independent directors there, so who actually give immense value when we discuss about the projects. So after that, I think once there's a rewards are there for the investments, we go through the project.
Sure.
And even in spite of all the care that you take, still the failures are there. Products fail, design fail.
Right.
Sometimes the markets doesn't support.
Correct.
But at the end, I think you have to ensure that your basic company doesn't get affected. The stability is always to be there.
Sure.
So the amount of risk that you take is to the extent that it doesn't affect your business, even if there is a failure, So we always have a plan B and C, but then even beyond that, it still fails.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So even if plan C fails, still shouldn't affect the main business.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one of the other elements of risk is your brand risk, maybe your customer's perception of your brand. I really like that example you were sharing a little bit earlier when we were talking. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about how do you handle clients in a situation when they are not happy.
True. I think the other risk is about the brand failing or your product miserably failing in the market. Your customers coming back with replacements and rejections. We have had many examples like that, and we actually look that as an opportunity to go and interact with your customer.
Amazing.
But otherwise we sell and forget sometimes. Most of the times we sell and forget the customer. So here I think you have an opportunity to go and meet with the customer's top boss. You try and give maximum service to them. You have to replace and do what is necessary to be done. And then we try to get a testimonial for good service. And then, we have seen a lot of customers coming back to us and been with us for a long time after the first failure.
Right.
So
customer who complains is an opportunity to actually make him satisfied.
Yeah.
That's a great takeaway.
Possible. Yeah.
So leaving out our work-related aspects, in the brand. Talking a little bit more about personal side. One of the pressures for an entrepreneur is stress at work, stress due to people, stress due to market. How do you manage work-life balance?
That's the most difficult question. It's definitely very tough to balance that. One thing is that don't take stress home. Definitely, I think everybody has to at least try to do that. It's not that we shouldn't discuss business at home or business risks at home. Right. I would actually encourage doing that so that your family understands the stress and risk that you undergo in the business. Actually, that can help much better in your work-life balance. But it's tough. But then that's how the life is.
Wonderful. So I want to talk a little bit about EO. You're a founder member of the organization in Coimbatore, past president of the chapter. Is there any past experience that you would like to share that has been impactful in your entrepreneurial journey because of EO?
There's no one specific example I can give, but there are a lot of instances that has helped for me personally being a leader. Second, I think a lot of learning sessions have actually given inputs for me to monitor production quality, analyze balance sheets, cash flows. That's been an immense value. One very specific example is that we have had a professor from SP Jain College in Pune, Mr. Bowman Moradian.
Right.
So I actually took him to our factory to do a one-day full workshop on operations management, and that was very valuable for the core team to improve the efficiencies substantially.
Great. And as a member of EO community myself, I know EO has a lot of products, platforms, tools to choose from. If there's any top 2 products or tools that you would recommend that has given value for you, what would that be?
Chapter learning, I would say the chapter learning is the first direct event where you can learn a lot of things, which I did. Of course, the other regional learning events and GLCs are the other very valuable products that you have. Apart from that, I would say forum is one of the best examples in a chapter where you can learn, share from like-minded peers. Then of course EO is all about networking with chapter members, regional members across. That can give immense value.
So talking about forum, it's like a personal board of directors, and from your past examples, looks like your actual company board gives a lot of value. Is there some advice you have for entrepreneurs who are privately held, who don't have to mandatorily have a board? Do you think that they should explore the concept of a board, and how will they benefit from this?
I think as a company, as an individual, we have to be ready to receive criticism. Okay. I think a board basically does that. So we ourselves, I think now the government of India mandates to have independent directors on the board. I think the independent directors, why they call independent directors, because they have no obligation. So they can really pinpoint your mistakes and tell you that this is wrong, this is right. I think every company should have a kind of board like that who can actually point out and tell this is right and wrong, or somebody who can actually throw the weaknesses on us and tell us this is your weakness and you have to improve on this. Right. So only an independent board can do that. Okay. I think forum is something exactly like that, and who can on a no obligation basis can tell something if you seek for advice or help without gestalt.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. That's great. Salzer is also one of the few companies from Coimbatore who have tapped the capital markets. As an entrepreneur, what is your feedback on generating capital from outside the promoters' coffers?
My dad went IPO in 1989, so we have been in capital markets almost now 3 decades. Capital market is definitely one of the best places to be in for any company that wants to grow rapidly, but it's also a double-edged sword. Okay. If you don't perform, they don't reward you. Okay. So I think if you perform, you have immense potential to raise as much capital as you want. At the same time, the company has to be highly transparent. You have to be ready to take in inputs from various quarters, analysts, shareholders, so many people who look at your company and analyze your balance sheets and your performance. There are a lot of people who will be very critical. So if somebody is ready for that, I think that's the best place to be in for an entrepreneur.
Sure. And what would be a growth path towards an IPO? What would be the first steps and second steps? What would you suggest?
I think for a startup, I think the first is the venture capitalist or a private equity, depending on the size of the business.
Right.
I think next is the IPO. If you have a private equity, I think then the private equity will ensure that you go for an IPO.
Right. So. Great. And what is your vision in the next 5 years or by 2025 for Salzer?
Our company's stated vision is to be a global solution, electrical solutions provider, to be admired for its people, performance and values.
Right.
On a shorter term, our objective is to double our revenues and profits every 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
And we have been trying to do that.
Wonderful. So thank you for being with us and wish you all the best on your journey towards.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.